Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. We've gathered some really interesting sources today, looking at a pretty fundamental change in how businesses approach growth. It's a big topic.
It really is. We're talking about this evolution, moving past what we traditionally called sales enablement
Right.
to something much broader, revenue enablement. And the articles we looked at, they really get into the why behind this shift.
Exactly. So our mission today is to, well, get to grips with that. Why is that older idea of sales enablement maybe seen as, well, maybe even dead, as some sources suggest?
Yeah, it's a strong statement.
It is. And what does this new, more holistic revenue enablement model actually look like in practice? And importantly, what does this mean for businesses or, maybe even for you listening? What's the next step?
And the really interesting part, I think, is that this isn't just semantics, like changing a job title. It's a deep rethinking of how revenue actually gets generated. It touches way more than just the sales team.
There are some definite moments in here. So let's start at the beginning. Traditional sales enablement. How did our sources define that? What was its core focus?
Well, the sources describe it as pretty narrowly focused, really. The main goal was helping salespeople specifically sell better.
Okay.
So giving them the training, the content, the tools they needed to, close deals. It was all about making that individual salesperson more effective.
And that worked for a while. But the market's changed a lot, according to these sources. What drove that change? Why wasn't that narrow focus enough anymore?
The buyer's journey is it's become incredibly complex, especially in B2B. One source mentioned a Gartner study, I think from 2018, finding that the average B2B buying decision involves, 6 to 10 decision makers?
6 to 10, wow. That's not just one person signing off.
Not even close.
Yeah.
And each of those people needs different information, maybe at different times. It complicates things massively.
The buyers themselves are different too, right? They come in more informed.
Oh, absolutely. They've done their homework online, read reviews, maybe even played with a free version before they even think about talking to sales.
So they expect more.
They expect a lot more personalization, and they want value at every interaction, not just the sales pitch. And that old model just focusing on the salesperson, it just wasn't built for that kind of scattered, complex interaction.
Okay, so that sets the stage perfectly. This is when revenue enablement comes in. How do the sources define this broader approach?
They talk about it as a strategic, holistic plan. It deliberately goes beyond just the sales team to include all the customer-facing functions working in concert.
You mean marketing, sales, customer success, support, all of them?
Exactly. Marketing, sales, customer success, support whoever touches the customer.
So it's really about breaking down those traditional walls between departments.
That's the core idea. Unify these roles, get them working towards shared goals, and create this seamless, consistent experience for the customer. From the very first time they hear about you through the sale, and crucially after the sale too. It's about optimizing the whole revenue engine.
That makes intuitive sense. A bad support experience can completely kill a relationship, no matter how good the initial sale was.
Precisely. Or marketing might bring in leads that sales isn't equipped to handle properly because they lack context.
Right. So let's dig into the building blocks then. What are the key pillars of revenue enablement based on our sources? What holds it up?
The absolute foundation, according to everything we read, is cross-functional alignment.
Okay.
This means getting marketing, sales, and customer success truly on the same page. Not just aware of each other, but having a shared understanding of the ideal customer, the market, the competition, and the core value proposition. Same message, same goals.
Can you give an example? Like, what does that look like day to day?
Sure. Think about lead handoffs. Instead of marketing just throwing an email address over the wall, alignment means marketing knows when to hand off based on engagement. And they give sales the full picture, what content they looked at, what their potential needs might be.
Context.
Exactly. Or customer success feeding insights back from customer calls, common issues, feature requests directly to marketing and product teams.
And did the sources mention the impact? Is there a tangible benefit to this kind of teamwork?
Yes, quite a significant one. One source pointed to research showing companies with strong alignment between these teams have a major advantage in closing deals, something like a 67% higher success rate.
67%. That's huge.
Yeah.
That really drives home why breaking down silos isn't just a nice to have.
It's a bottom line imperative.
Okay, so alignment is pillar one. What's next?
Pillar 2 is data-driven decision-making, but it's broader than just looking at sales quotas. It's about using data from every customer interaction.
Every single one, like website clicks, support tickets, email opens, all of it.
All of it. Building that complete 360-degree view. And crucially, using that data not just to report on the past, but to predict future needs and enable proactive steps.
How does that work in practice? Is there an example from the sources?
Yeah, one article described a SaaS company using a central revenue enablement platform. It pulled data from their marketing automation tool, their CRM, and their support system.
Okay, so it connects the dots.
Right. And by analyzing that combined data, they could spot trends. Maybe customers using feature X always ask support about Y. That insight immediately tells marketing, hey, we need better onboarding content for feature X, or tells sales, this is a potential upsell signal.
So data from one team directly fuels action for another team. Very powerful. And the business impact, did they quantify that?
The sources suggest that using data-driven strategies boosts sales, for sure.
Right.
But the really interesting bit is that when you combine that with the cross-functional alignment we just talked about.
The synergy.
Exactly. That combination drives an additional increase. It's the data plus the teamwork that really accelerates things.
Makes sense. Data is only as good as the coordinated action you take based on it. What's the third pillar?
The third one is ongoing learning and adjustment. The idea here is that the market changes constantly, customer needs shift. You can't just rely on, say, an annual sales training anymore.
So learning needs to be continuous, embedded in the workflow.
Pretty much. Weaving coaching, skill development, best practice sharing into the day-to-day, and not just for sales. For marketing, for support, for everyone on that broader revenue team, it's about cultivating a growth mindset across the board.
Is there a payoff for that, for investing in that kind of learning culture?
Well, one source cited a LinkedIn report finding that companies big on learning have better employee retention, which makes sense. People feel valued.
Yeah, and engaged people are generally more productive, more innovative, too.
Right, so it feeds back into the company's overall health and performance.
Okay, so we have these three pillars: alignment, data, and continuous learning. That's the foundation. But how does revenue enablement actually play out across the whole customer journey? It's not just about that initial sale, is it?
Not at all. That's kind of the point. It's about maximizing value and revenue across the entire life cycle. We can actually walk through the stages using examples from the sources.
Let's do it. Start at the top. Awareness. People are just finding out about you. How does revenue enablement fit here?
Well, marketing can use data from the CRM, like who are our most profitable existing customers, to build lookalike audiences for ads. So you're targeting new people who are statistically similar to your best customers right from the start.
Smart targeting. What about, say, the support team? Do they have a role this early?
Surprisingly, yes. Think about the common questions support gets from current customers. That data can feed back to marketing or the web team to improve FAQs or website copy, proactively addressing potential roadblocks for new visitors just exploring.
Interesting. Support calls influencing marketing for prospects. Okay, what about the next stage? Consideration. They're actively looking at options.
Here, marketing can use behavioral triggers. Someone spends ages on the pricing page or adds stuff to a cart but doesn't buy. You can trigger personalized follow-ups, maybe an email with a relevant offer or more information.
And support's role during consideration.
If they have a good knowledge base, maybe integrated into a chat tool, they can provide instant answers to detailed product questions right when the prospect is comparing, helping overcome objections quickly.
And sales is probably involved by now, too.
Definitely. And they can access shared resources, maybe case studies that marketing created based on success stories, and share the right one with a prospect who's weighing specific options. It adds credibility at a key moment.
Okay, moving on to acquisition. They're making the purchase. How does revenue enablement optimize this?
Marketing might be A/B testing things on the checkout page, like different shipping thresholds or button text, using analytics to see what maximizes the order value.
In support, what friction points do they see here?
They often hear directly about checkout problems, confusing forms, payment glitches. Documenting that systematically provides crucial feedback to the development team to smooth out the buying process. Fewer abandoned carts.
Good point. And sales.
Sales might analyze past purchase data in the CRM to see what products are often bought together. That insight lets marketing create, you might also like, suggestions or bundles right at checkout.
Nice cross-sell upsell opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay, they've bought. Now we're in the service phase.
Yeah, and this isn't just about fixing problems. It's about continuing the relationship and finding revenue opportunities. Marketing can use purchase data to send targeted guides, tips, or accessory recommendations post-purchase.
Does sales still play a role after the initial transaction?
For larger deals, absolutely.
Hmm.
A follow-up call isn't just a courtesy. It's a chance to reinforce value, check satisfaction, and maybe softly introduce related services or upgrades discussed earlier, nurturing for the next sale. And support, by tracking things like repair requests or product usage patterns, can help time offers for upgrades or replacements perfectly. Maybe right when the customer might be naturally thinking about it anyway.
Proactive. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, final stage. Loyalty. Turning customers into long-term fans and advocates.
This is where it all really comes together. Sales might offer loyalty discounts or special terms for long-term commitments.
Support.
Support could offer premium perks, maybe faster response times, or a dedicated contact for the most valuable, loyal customers, making them feel special. And marketing integrates all this. They use data to run loyalty programs, maybe combine points with referral bonuses, actively turning happy customers into ambassadors who bring in new customers. It closes the loop.
That really paints a picture of how every single touch point becomes part of the revenue strategy when teams work together. So, for a business listening that wants to move in this direction, how do they actually do it? What are the practical steps our sources suggest?
The sources lay out a few key actions. First, and maybe the hardest, is break down silos.
Culturally, you mean?
Yes, fostering a culture of real collaboration, shared goals, regular meetings between marketing, sales, success leaders, and their teams. Some companies even create a specific revenue operations or similar team to drive this coordination.
Culture needs support, though. What else?
That leads right to step 2. Invest in technology. You need the right systems to connect the dots. Things like marketing automation, a solid CRM, business intelligence tools for analysis, customer service platforms, content management.
And critically, these systems need to talk to each other, right?
Yeah.
Integrate.
Absolutely critical. The goal is unified data, automated workflows across teams, and giving everyone the info they need instantly to provide that consistent experience.
Okay, third step.
Focus on customer experience. Always view things from the customer's perspective. Map their journey, identify pain points and opportunities to add value-tailored content, corrective help, timely follow-ups, make every interaction count.
And the last step ties back to one of the pillars.
Right. Make learning a top priority. Continuously invest in training, coaching, skills development for all customer-facing teams. Keep them sharp, adaptable. It's an ongoing commitment.
It definitely sounds like a more effective approach, but also a significant shift. Did the sources mention any major challenges businesses face when trying to implement this?
They did. The investment, particularly in getting those tech systems integrated and talking to each other, can be substantial.
Yeah, connecting disparate data sources is never trivial.
Exactly. And then there's the human element. Getting genuine buy-in and changing ingrained habits across historically separate departments. That takes time and consistent effort from leadership.
Marketing, sales, support. They often have different cultures, different metrics.
Precisely. Aligning them isn't easy. And you have to be smart about choosing technology, too, making sure the tools you pick can actually integrate well. Otherwise, you just create more complexity.
Okay, so wrapping this up. The big takeaway here seems to be that this old model, just enabling the sales team, is kind of giving way.
Yeah, it's evolving into revenue enablement, this much more connected strategy, uniting marketing, sales, customer success, support.
All focused on driving growth across that entire customer journey.
Right.
From the first touch to long-term loyalty.
That's the goal. And the benefits seem clear from the sources. Finding more revenue streams, better internal alignment, more efficiency, and ultimately higher customer lifetime value because the whole experience is better.
For anyone listening, understanding this shift feels pretty vital for navigating how business works today, wouldn't you say? It really changes how you might think about growth opportunities.
Absolutely crucial. Whether you're in marketing, sales, support, ops, leadership, this impacts everyone.
So here's a final thought to leave with everyone. Given how complex buying is now and how those lines between marketing, sales, and service are blurring, are we going to see totally new kinds of job roles emerge, focused purely on this cross-functional revenue world? Or will the roles we have now just need to fundamentally change, maybe even merge within this new structure? Something to ponder.
That's a fascinating question for the future.
It really is. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.